Good morning. In this video I turned the little stitchery of the cherry blossoms into a wall hanging. And as I was making it, I was thinking, well, maybe someone might like to make it along too. So I actually cut up a second set of materials that I used. And so I've got a little bit of a giveaway for you. So if you're interested, stick around to the end of the video and I'll tell you what to comment down below so that you could enter in the chance to win the materials to make your own little stitchery as well. When I announce the winner, I'll announce it in a video and never in the comments. So please don't be fooled by anyone that tells you you've won in the comments. Rightio, let's get started. So I'm cutting little squares of fabric I have in half to make long rectangles. And I'm going to sew these together. So just simply folding it in half and cut down the middle. And so I'm going to strip all these fabrics together and that will make the sides of my quilt. Now I want to use the sewing machine today, but of course you could hand sew this if you want to, just with a running stitch. And I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam. Let's cut that off. And I'm sewing these together, but I'm going to cut them in half afterwards. And this will form the little borders all the way around the stitchery for the wall hanging. Alright, so I'm going to keep stitching these together. Cut. It won't cut. I got it. Alright, so there we have it. All the pieces stitched together. Ironing, ironing, ironing. So press all the seams down flat. And give it a little press on the other side too, just to make sure that's all nice and smooth. Let's trim off the edges to make it straight. You can see my pieces of fabric were different sizes. I'm just trimming it down. I love this style of sewing. No measuring. Just put things together and cut and stitch. And no working out numbers or anything like that. So now I'm laying this against the backing fabric. So I have a piece of backing fabric with a piece of quilting wadding on it, and I'm just simply laying the strips out how I'd like them to go on that backing fabric. I'm just folding under the raw edge. I don't want the backing strips to have raw edges. I just want to have the embroidery design with raw edges. But of course you can leave it all raw if you want to and do it all slow stitch. Yeah, that looks right. Alright, better get some pins into this, put it into place. Just cut that off, don't need that. When I was working this out, I did actually just sort of lay out the little squares against the edge of the backing fabric to work out sort of how many I'd need. I hope you're all having a peaceful day today. Maybe you've got a nice beverage with you, or you've got some stitching on the go yourself. It's nice to spend time together working on our creative projects. Cut off the excess. We'll pin it into place. If you celebrate, I'd like to wish you all a happy and peaceful Easter. Cheeky's very happy that it's Easter because he looked at me expecting me to head out the door to work today, and now he's happily curled up on my lap. Righto. So I'm going to stitch this down with this little crochet cotton and just do a little running stitch. Let's go. Now, because of the layers of the seams, this is a bit tough to get the needle through, so I'm sort of stabbing it instead of just stitching it all in one go. I wonder if I can put a few gathers on the needle. This style of stitching, I have to sort of take breaks because it does get pretty tough on the hands, on the fingers, going through so many layers. That feels okay. Might be hard to get the needle out though. Let's try. Yeah, it's a bit tough. Okay, and just pull it smooth. It's just simply in and out a little running stitch to quilt the borders to the backing fabric. I'm looking forward to Easter Sunday, families coming over, and our children are getting on in age now, but we still love to have the Easter egg hunt. Which takes quite a while to lay out, and everything's found in no time at all. Just as the children have aged, we found we're hiding things up higher and higher. We used to before. And it's really funny, every year we think, oh yeah, definitely found them all, no worries. And then usually like half a year later I'll be out digging in the garden and find a little egg that had been left behind. Some years it's been so warm that the eggs melted too, so you have to time it right. Just getting into the rhythm of this. This really is a very peaceful way to stitch. Now that I've done all that quilting stitching, so I just did several rows on each side, about a little less than a centimetre apart. Now I'm just doing a decorative running stitch to put the embroidery panel on. So I'm using a darker shade of crochet thread, pink, and I'm just doing a running stitch evenly spaced apart to attach it to the backing. Now the way that I'm doing this, you could have actually pieced all of the pieces on the backing in this manner, and then you would have all raw edges and all running stitch, so true slow stitch for the whole piece. But yeah, for this particular piece I decided I wanted the embroidery to sort of feature and stand out with its raw edges. And if you want no raw edges, of course you could hem the embroidery. So just iron the raw edges under before stitching it down. And then you have no raw edges. Just depends what you feel like and what you want the finished look to be. I love this sewing with no rules. Just pure enjoyment. Doing what you feel like on the day. Oh, look, all the texture, all the puffy from all the quilting. This side actually shows you better, doesn't it? The rows of stitching around the border. I always lose my needle right at the end. Anyway, let's knot this off. Okay, a couple of stitches extra just to secure the end. There we have it, all ready for the edging. Because I'm doing a quilting style border on this, I'm trimming all the edges off even. If you don't have a rotary cutter and ruler, of course you can do this with a pair of scissors. Okay, so that's all ready to go for the ending. Now it's at this point that editing Leanne has realised she has done that thing where she didn't turn the camera on and she didn't actually film the whole thing she thought she was filming, and instead, when she thought she was pressing stop, recorded the end of the process. Dear oh dear. So I apologise about that. I will talk to you about the process of putting the binding on as I'm hand stitching the other side down. So with the binding, you simply fold it in half and lay the raw edges against the edge of your quilt and sew the sides down. When you get to the corner, I really can't explain this process. I think I'll have to find another video and put it in the link for you to see what to do. But you essentially stop stitching, put the binding sort of up to the top, fold a little corner on it, and then line up your edges and stitch the edge again. I think I'll go and look for a video where someone's done it to show you and put that in the comments. I apologise for losing all that footage. It happens sometimes. So this is another part of hand sewing that I love, sitting and stitching the other side of the binding down on the back. So I'm just doing a little manipulation. You want the corner to go in nicely. And this is just a simple running stitch or tacking stitch, where you sort of go through the quilt backing, take a little nibble of the edge of the binding, and then back into your backing. Okay, happy with that. Let's go. Okay, so I'm going into the backing, take a little nibble of the edge of the binding into the backing, edge of binding into the backing, little edge of the binding, and so on, all the way around. A lot of quilters hate this part of quilting, and some don't do it, some just machine the edges, but to me it's my favourite part, when everything's all done and you're just sitting and relaxing and stitching away on your finished piece. Now, of course, you don't have to do this either. You could just leave your edges raw and display it that way. You could put it inside a frame, and then the matting of the frame hides your edges and displays your work nicely. And at this point, you could even turn this into a hussif or a housewife if you're working on that project. Okay, let's audition some sticks to hang it with. I liked the idea of hanging this off a stick, you know, to sort of replicate the cherry tree branch. Not so sure about that one. This is actually Agapanthus flower head stem that's dried out. I think I like this one. Now a little piece to hang it from the quilt onto the stem. I think I might just use this is the rest of the binding. So you can see that it was a piece of fabric folded in half. I'm going to turn the raw edges in. I think that will be like a nice size. Righto, let's do a running stitch. Stitch this together. Just using the crochet thread again. Of course, you could totally machine this if you wanted to. Oh, it's shaping up to be a lovely day here. I love autumn, it's my favourite season. Lovely cool mornings. The air feels really crisp and clean. You often get a gentle breeze. I'm going to get out in the garden again later today and get a few more weeds out. Marion has inspired me. I'm sure you all know Marion from Marion's World. She was in the garden the other day. I find it, the thought of it can be overwhelming, so I use the bucket rule. I think, okay, well, I'm just going to go and fill one bucket, and when that bucket's filled, that's the job done. And if I feel like doing more, I can keep going. But if I don't, if I've had enough, well, then that's fine. My bucket is done. So just stitching on the back of the quilt here. And at this point, my thinking is no one can see this. It doesn't matter. So I'm just doing a sort of a funny blanket stitch just to secure it down. Through the loop to end off. Righto, little loop knotted on the end of some pink cord to attach to the ends. So you've got something to hang it with. So in my giveaway, I have included this pink cord, all of the fabric squares that I use to make the backing, the binding, the painted background for the stitchery, the wadding, the backing fabric, all the threads I used, a couple of needles that I used, and a little jar of the gold beads, as well as a little reel of the thread I use for stitching. So thank you very, very much for watching, everyone. And if you'd like to go into the draw to win the little kit so you can make one of these for yourself, please like, subscribe and comment down below. Where will you hang your finished wall hanging? I'll announce the winner in a video 2 weeks from now. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.